You probably already know that taking consistent action is the only way to accomplish your big goals. And you're probably also not taking that action. If you stick with me through this video, we're going to learn together what the biggest causes for resistance to action are. We're going to learn the single biggest mindset shift you need to make in order to consistently get closer to your goals. And we're also going to learn how to break big goals down into action steps that you can take every single day without burning yourself out or having to constantly wonder where you are in your progress towards that goal. So if that sounds useful to you, if you'd like to learn how to consistently take action towards your goals, be sure to stick around, maybe grab a piece of paper, think about a few specific goals that you want to think about as we're going through this exercise, and let's dive right in. First, I want to start with a quick example just to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. Let me know if this sounds familiar at all. So you've just had a burst of motivation. You've decided you want to do something big with your life. You want to try something new. Maybe you want to run a marathon. So you signed up for a marathon a year from now. You are excited, right? Like a marathon, that's a huge accomplishment. You can always tell people you ran a marathon. That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm sure there are other reasons to do it, but you know what I mean. And you buy a new workout set and you buy new shoes and you come up with your playlist and you make your plan. I'm just going to run an hour and a half every single day until I can run longer, then I'm going to run more, right? Like that. It sounds like a good way to get better at running, like just run a lot. So the first day you get outside, you're pumped, crush your workout. Second day, you're still excited, you're a little sore, but you do it anyways. Third day, you're more sore. Your shins are starting to hurt. You're starting to wonder what you're doing, but you push through anyways. You do your hour and a half. And then the fourth day, you wake up tired, which is understandable because you've just run a whole bunch of hours. And you think, maybe I'll just do it this afternoon, right? And then it's raining this afternoon, and you think, nah, there's always tomorrow. Day 5 comes along, and you're still sore. It's still raining. Okay, whatever. We'll just do it tomorrow. I don't even remember why I signed up for this marathon to begin with. Screw it. Right? Like, then the time passes, you get to the marathon day, maybe you do it, maybe you don't. It's definitely not in the shape you wanted to be in. And you just can't understand why this keeps happening. Like, why? I set another goal. This has happened a million times before. I know what I have to do. Why can't I just do it? Right? Well, you're not alone. And this is a very normal thing. I've struggled with this almost my whole life. I think the idea about taking consistent action over time instead of having to do huge all or nothing bursts of effort is something that really has taken a long time to sink into my brain. So that's kind of where I want to start. Like, why is it so hard for us to just do what we need to do? You know what you need to do, more likely than not, to get to whatever goal it is you're thinking about. There's a few things that you might be doing. I don't want to say wrong because, everyone has their own strategy, but a few things that are probably making it more difficult. The first is that you probably have a bit of an all or nothing mindset. You think that unless you put in a significant amount of effort toward this goal in any given session, there's no point. Unless you can sit down and study for 3 hours to progress in this language you're learning, just skip it. Let's do it tomorrow. Let's do it the next day. Let's wait till we have some more motivation. So if this is sounding like, yeah, okay, I definitely do that. That's been my biggest struggle with taking action towards my goals because I always know, I know realistically that if I sit down, if I just have 10 minutes and I use that 10 minutes to study, I'll be 10 minutes further along when I jump in tomorrow. And that is a good thing. And if we think about, the book Atomic Habits, if you've read that, the author James Clear, kind of the thesis is that if we get 1% better every single day, over the course of a year, we'll be something like 37 times better, which is insane. And I don't think our brains are built to understand compounding or exponential math like that because we see just a 10-minute effort and we don't understand how that builds over time. So I would say that the first thing to really focus on is to catch yourself when you're feeling like taking a small little bit of effort won't have any impact because it really will. So let's run through an example. Let's say you're working on getting into better shape and you're trying to go to the gym every day, but today you wake up late, you're tired, you can go down to the gym, maybe it's just a quick walk through your apartment complex, but you only have 20 minutes. So there's no point in going, right? Like, what are you going to do in 20 minutes that's going to make you more fit? Just skip it. Wrong. That's where you got to catch yourself. Because 20 minutes of effort, maybe you just go do a 20-minute mobility session. Maybe you do 20 minutes on the treadmill. Maybe you lift some weights. If you think about every single time you choose to skip the gym because you can't do a full hour and a half workout, and you think about just doing a 20-minute workout for each of those instead, you're going to be so much further along than just skipping it all together. So even though you can't see the immediate impact of the small effort you're putting in, it is still worth doing. And let me tell you that consistently taking small efforts towards your big goals over time is going to get you there faster than just only doing huge bursts when you have the energy. It's going to get you there faster 100% of the time. So you need to internalize that. You need to unlearn it. You need to look for patterns in your life where you're neglecting that little bit of action that you know could get you this much further because you don't see the point of it. I would recommend reading Atomic Habits as well. He breaks it down so clearly of why we need to keep making those steps. So now that we kind of understand why it's important to focus on consistent action instead of only doing all or nothing, huge step, or there's no point in doing it, let's talk about how to actually break your goals down into actionable steps that you can do each and every day. So on top of understanding, yes, I know I need to get a little bit closer, let's actually quantify how much closer. So my goal for this section is for you to have a goal where you walk away with an idea of every single day you wake up and say, oh, this is what I need to do to get this much closer to my goal to hit it on my timeline. Because I think a lot of times we struggle with decision fatigue, we struggle with running out of motivation. That happens super fast and you just kind of have to rely on discipline. And if you're just kind of brute forcing your way through the action and you're also having to figure out what the action's supposed to be every day, and you also don't know if it's enough or if you're on the right track, that is a recipe for burnout and exhaustion. So let's take a goal, try and come up with a specific goal to follow along this exercise. For me, I'm going to go back to the marathon goal that we talked about at the beginning. You want to run a marathon in 1 year. Great. That's awesome. What would it mean to be halfway ready for the marathon? What do you need to accomplish in the next 6 months? And then let's break it down into quarters. Each quarter, what are those milestones we want to hit? Maybe at the end of the first quarter, 3 months, you want to be able to run a half marathon without stopping. Okay, fantastic. Let's come up with a goal for each quarter. Then let's break it down into months. What does that look like each month along the way? Then let's break it down into weeks. And then let's go into specific days and schedule out the tiny little steps you need to take each and every day to hit the week, the month, the quarter, the 6 month, and the year timeline. And it seems like maybe a lot of work at first, and it kind of is, but the idea is you're going to work out from the very beginning that it's probably a little bit less effort on a day-to-day basis than you think, and it adds up to so much more than you think as well. So we're going to break down that effort into those little sections, and the goal is to put it on your calendar. So let's say Monday is going to be a 5-mile run, and then Tuesday is going to be a 20-minute mobility session, and then Wednesday is going to be this. I'm not a runner. I don't know how you would prepare for a marathon, but whatever it is, come up with that specific thing and put it on your calendar. And that way, when you wake up, you look at your calendar, you know exactly what you have to do, even if it doesn't seem like a lot, even if it's that 20-minute mobility session and you think, like, how could that possibly get me closer to my marathon? You know, because you've made your plan over time, that this, combined with all the other actions you listed out, will get you there. So that's my biggest tip for kind of getting closer to your goals in a way that's not overwhelming, that doesn't require constant effort, that doesn't require you to constantly be making decisions. You just follow the plan instead of relying on motivation, and you will make it there. So now that we've covered why you need to understand that consistent small efforts over time will get you there a lot faster, and why you need to have a specific breakdown day by day of what you're doing, let's talk about managing your actual workload and why discipline really comes into play here. So it's going to be tempting when you have this initial rush of, I'm going to make a bunch of goals. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to learn a whole new language. I'm going to do this. Maybe you have 5 things that you're super excited about and you're 100% convinced you're going to accomplish all at once. Unless you have like literally no other responsibilities and a massive amount of energy and free time, trying to jump into all these things at once really isn't going to make sense, and they're all going to cause you to burn out. Instead of being able to progress all the way on this one thing and then slowly add more things, you're going to get to here and all of them, get burned out, probably give up on them, and then be right back to where you started. So what I'm going to ask you to do is take some discipline into this process when you're thinking about which goals to get started with. Try and find the one that you think will have the most positive ripple effect on the rest. So I keep talking about a fitness-based goal because a lot of times if you're focusing on something fitness related, you're probably going to be sleeping better. You're going to be eating better. You're going to be getting more confident as you get into shape. And that will positively impact your ability to do business, to do all the other things you're trying to do in your life. So when you're looking at your goals, try and understand what sort of synergy they have with each other. Go ahead and pick the one you think will have the biggest impact on the rest, and use that discipline to start with just the one. It's going to feel like not enough at first. It's going to feel like you don't understand why you're not doing all of them. But as you kind of progress over time, it's exactly the same principle as the compounding small efforts. Start with one, go with it until it becomes habit, until you're waking up and you just know this is what you got to do to get closer to this goal. You no longer have to force yourself to do it. It's no longer a massive amount of discipline. You don't have to dedicate a lot of thought to it. That is now just part of your life. And when you get to that stage where it's pure habit, add the next one. And before you know it, you're going to have a very long list of high-level goals that you're working towards with consistent action, where you're not burnt out, where you're not constantly having to make decisions. So what you need to think about is that is a great saying. I don't know where it's from, but we really underestimate the amount we can do in a year, but we highly overestimate the amount we can do in a day. So expand your time horizon, use that discipline to do things one at a time instead of jumping into everything at once, and you are going to progress so much faster. So it's a little bit of short-term discipline, slowing down for that long-term gain of actually achieving your goals. And this might sound kind of contrary to what you've heard before. We have a big rise and grind hustle culture, try and do everything at once. That's not realistic for most of us. It just isn't. Which leads me to another tip that I really like, is to come up with some variations of options you can have based on how you feel. So let's say you have a more straightforward goal than the marathon. Maybe it's just you want to study for half an hour every single day in the language you're trying to learn, right? So you can have kind of different levels of if you wake up with a ton of energy, maybe you want to do a speaking class where you're fully engaged, you're learning conversation. But maybe if you wake up with no energy, you can watch a 30-minute show in that language, and that can count as your studying. So I want you to come up with a few different options for each of the goals that you have based on your energy levels. And this is another way it's going to be a lot more sustainable, because again, if it's impossible for you to do what you set out to do because you just don't have the energy or the time or the headspace, you're going to feel like giving up. Versus if you have another option that is still going to push you towards your goal, you're going to actually do that. It just is a better fit for the energy you have that day. So remember, you are not a machine. You are not expected to have the same amount of boundless energy every single day. That's just not realistic. But if you can have a plan in place that takes into account all these potential variations in your energy and your moods, and the name of the game is really just getting it set up so you wake up, you don't have to make any decisions, you don't have to make any critical thinking. You say, here's what I need to do. Here are my two options based on my energy levels. I'm going to do this. And then you have faith that over time, that's going to take you to where you want to go, because it will. So thank you so much for your time and attention through this video. I know it was a lot. I'm definitely very passionate about this subject because it's something that has had a dramatic impact on my life. I am still learning it. I am still consistently trying to teach myself that those little bits of effort really do pay off over time. And I encourage you to do the same. So I'd love to hear in the comments, what is something that you are working towards? What is a big goal that you have? And how are you going to implement this sort of mindset into getting closer to your goal? Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Please just give this video a thumbs up. Send it to a friend if you're feeling motivated, and kind of let me know in the comments what goals you're working towards. And if you also struggle with that small bit of focus versus the all or nothing energy that I've been talking about. I'm excited for you all to achieve those goals. And if you're watching this video and you were kind of thinking, oh, I don't know what goals I want to have, or that doesn't seem realistic for me, I have 2 other videos here that you can check out that I think might be interesting. I will see you next week. Thank you so much.